subscribe to my channel. Hit that fan. And that Haley, Buddy, that's a TV, there's a sink, there's a freezer oven.
What are your names?
I'm Charlotte, there's Bradley, there's Millicent, there's Haley Bradley.
Hey, so as you would have heard in the brief little intro from Charlotte, we are, I suppose, the Camping Channons. I'm Bradley. Haley, you've probably seen us a little bit if you follow us on Instagram. This is Millicent. She's decided she wants to sit down and have a chat as well. And basically what we just want to share our experience from the long weekend, and yeah, sort of run you through what's happened, and probably explain that even though most of the time our feed looks like sunshine and rainbows and absolutely beautiful spots, probably the behind the scenes isn't always that way.
Isn't it like that with every Instagram account though?
Probably is. Yeah, so yeah, we're just going to share what happened, where we went, what we got up to, why we come home a little bit earlier, and yeah, so we set off on Thursday, so Jan 26th. We'd initially planned to go to Port Rickaby. One of my lovely friends has got a block there, and so we ducked over there, and when we got there it was probably a little bit sandier than what I thought. I didn't realise that how sandy it was, but I also didn't realise that her dad had a tractor that would have helped us significantly move the caravan in there. The kids are a bit hectic anyway, so we didn't really want to get stuck, so it's unfortunate because the block and the beach was absolutely amazing, but hopefully we are able to go over there and use that space sometime soon. I am really thankful that I have such great friends like that. So yeah, we chuffed off from there. That was about 45 minutes from home. We're really lucky here on the Yorks. We can drive as little as probably 40 minutes, and obviously all the way down the bottom is about an hour and a half. We decided there was a few of our favourite spots nearby.
Yeah, when we decided to turn around from Port Rickaby, we thought, well, we'll head to one of our favourite spots, favourite campgrounds, which is usually really quiet. By
really quiet, like I think I've only ever seen one other person there when we've been there, and that's been both winter and summer. And
he's almost a permanent resident of that campground. Yeah. He's there every time we go.
He's a lovely bloke too. So yeah, we headed off. It's about 10 k's south of Port Rickaby, on the Yorks, as I said. We drove in. I was going to fly the drone just to check, so I didn't have to try to drive in and then spin around. If it's busy, it's pretty tight.
We sort of got the idea that it was going to be pretty busy because there was a fair bit of traffic on the road, and we knew that it was going to be busy down here anyway because the river's closed, or people aren't really staying at the river because you can't go in the water.
Can't go in the water, and most of the campgrounds and caravan parks are shut, and they're only just starting to reopen. I mean, normally we would be up in the Riverland over this weekend with family, but obviously.
So we get there. What's the campground called?
Barker's Rocks.
Barker's Rocks.
Yeah, it's not like we said, we normally don't see many people there, and we drove in, and it was pretty much like a can of sardines. Yeah.
It was packed. There were like vans, cars,
tents, camper trailers,
swags, everywhere.
Everything. Everyone's on top of each other, and even if you're camping together, it wouldn't have been the most enjoyable experience with how many people are in that space. It's not a huge space anyway. So we were like, bugger. We sort of knew that had that feeling anyway, like I said. So from there, we actually went up. There's a northern part of that campground, which is has no facilities, so the self-contained. Well, we can do that anyway. Now, I don't reckon I've ever seen anyone there. We haven't been there heaps and heaps, but I've seen people pull in and then duck out. But yeah, we ducked up there thinking just have a squiz, and yeah, it was basically the same thing. Some people made it a little bit hard to turn around with a 20-foot van as well. They decided that they'd park pretty much on the drive, on the road. So, which is a little bit tricky trying to turn around in such it's basically a roundabout almost. But there's like fence posts and stuff, so a bit harder to get around. So, yeah, we blew that idea off, and from there we decided we'll just keep heading south. We're already south. We wanted to avoid Wirralty. Like, we love Wirralty, like really love it, but we knew there'd be about 50 million people on there, and that's since been confirmed after talking to some friends and family that were camping down there. I think most of South Australia appeared at Wirralty over the weekend. You know, I've read in excess of 250 vans. So as beautiful as it is, we like to camp away from people, and obviously we know it can be a little bit tricky, but yeah, we kept heading south. So we thought we'd try Burners, and it's starting to get pretty late. Like, we didn't leave until 1:30 at home, so we're probably at Barker's Rock so about 2:30, 2:45, so just over an hour in the car. It was about another 45 minutes down to Burners. We knew this would be probably busier as well, but we'd managed to do a little bit of scouting on Instagram, or Hayley had, and it looked relatively quiet.
Yeah, like we just searched the hashtags and the location just to see who was there, what had been posted recently, and like we saw a video that someone had posted, and it looked like there was just them on the beach. There was like no one on the beach, and we thought, well, you know, if there's no one on the beach, surely there's not going to be many people in the campground itself, because you go there to go to the beach.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful day too, Thursday, like absolute, you know, tickety boo. So yeah, and I did say that we would have been happy to go to the self-contained side too. Obviously we have that capability in our van. And yeah, we cruised down.
It was not looking good.
Yeah, I had a gut feeling. Hayley probably had a gut feeling. We had bets going with the kids that was going to happen, and Millicent was certainly not...
You said it was going to be, we're not going to find a park, didn't you?
Yeah.
And did we find one there? No, not in that spot.
No, and it was basically the same thing. This is probably worse than Barker's, actually.
Yeah, it was...
I know it gets busy there, but like, you have people making up campsites and stuff. Both sides were just absolutely off the charts packed. You know, people on top, which we expected, and it's probably a lesson for us in either don't leave so late. But like we said, we normally don't do much here on the Yorks on long weekends, or because of how busy it is.
By this point, the kids were feral.
Yeah, so we're talking
We
now,
don't have good travellers anyway, and I'm pretty sure like any parent with bad travellers can relate with how stressful and mentally exhausting it can be in the car. Like, the bigger kids are all right. Well, Charlotte whinges the whole time. She sits in the front seat. I sit in the back between the two car seats. So I was probably whinging the most.
Yeah, you were at the end of your tether.
I had enough. Babies, we don't have good travellers when they're babies. And Franklin, like, if he doesn't sleep in the car, and every now and then he does now, but most of the time he just whinges, screams, or demands 100% attention. So it's just easier for me to sit in the back and keep him entertained the whole time. And it was we were like, nah, we should have just stayed and camped in our driveway at home.
Yeah.
We were just getting so over it.
I'm starting to get a bit how you going at this stage. I was getting sick of driving around. So, but you know, like we said, like, a bit of a lesson for us. So we were south anyway. You know, we were tossing up. Do we just duck back to Wirralty? Like, yes, we would have to drive for a bit on the beach, but you know, you're guaranteed to find somewhere down there. But we thought, no, this south already. So Burners Beach is just south of Point Turn, about 10 k's roughly. Or where, if you know, look at Point Sutar on the map, it's just south of that. So we thought we're south. Let's just keep going. We have a few more spots. We have another spot called Gravel Bay, which is another YP Council bush camp that we really, really like. It's got a really cool little beach. It's a bit of a hike to get down to the beach, but
it's great if you've got older kids. It's a little bit trickier when you've got younger ones, or kids like Charlotte that struggle to climb things with the low muscle tone. So
yeah,
it wasn't going to be an ideal spot for us to go, but it was going to be a spot. And like we knew we can get down there, cart the quick shade, which is pretty heavy to go up and down that hill.
not when you're
walking.
a unit like me.
But we thought, you know, if we just cart all that down there the once, leave it set up down on the beach, and then just have to.
I would have just folded it up at night and probably leave and hope it didn't get nicked. But yeah, so we thought about that. So we had sort of little contingency plan. Haley did try to ring Point Turton Caravan Park as well, and just to see if anyone had, you know, withdrawn or cancelled.
Worst case scenario, Caravan Park.
Yeah, so that was sort of we didn't really want to do that. But yeah, we ducked from there down to gravel. Now, I actually didn't pull in. I stopped, got out and went for a walk in there. Just to see, because it is a little bit tight in a couple of spots. We probably could have got in there, but there was a couple of like rooftop tenters that was sort of where us being in a bigger van probably would have ideally liked to go. There was a couple other spots, but they weren't sort of really ideal locations with the kids.
Just even further and harder to get down to the water.
Yeah, we're probably talking another 50 metres back off of sort of the path down to the water. So we were on using wiki camps, and obviously sort of I knew where we were anyway. We just kept driving another couple Ks down to Swince's Rocks, so which is where we ended up. And
before we even got there though, we sort of were like, oh no, we're not going to get a spot here either, because there was people just making up their own campgrounds along the way.
Yeah, sort of across the top. And
we were
people,
thinking,
yeah,
we're not going to get in anywhere if people are making up their own spots.
At this stage I was ready just to keep driving to Marion Bay and go to the pub for dinner and go home.
Yeah. It was discussed.
We had a few contingencies. We were just going to come home and camp in the driveway as well. We sort of mentioned that, but yeah, we drove into Swince's down Worley Road, and it's a beautiful spot. So we got like ultra lucky as well. So you would have seen in the video at the very start, just that quick shot. We ended up with like the clifftop campsite, so it's not heaps kid friendly for part of it. You're sort of on cliffs, and then there's sort of a nice little beach to the right, and you could probably do a little bit of surfing and bodyboarding there, a bit of fishing off the beach as well. But the beach was absolutely like pristine, and
it was stunning. We were just like,
yeah,
wow, we're so lucky to have found this spot. I mean, we knew about it, but we just hadn't ventured there. And
I think we're just really lucky. So it's another one that we've sort of put on our list is to revisit. And yeah, just beautiful spot. Probably the most disappointing part for us was there was a group of people, to their credit, they'd there's like a little access road to the beach. It's probably only 50 metres long, but and it's the only access road unless you want to climb over, or access route unless you want to climb down rocks and stuff to get to the beach. And they've set their camp up smack bang in the middle of that. So
we did have to walk through their camp to get to the beach. I mean, unless you want to climb the rocks, but Charlotte couldn't have climbed those rocks. And they were lovely. Like, they were like, just walk on through. And we were sort of we've got no other option.
Yeah, and they did have a pretty nice spot, really. So it's just a little bit more inconvenience. But, so that's where we ended up. So I think we pulled up there at about 5 o'clock. So we left home, 1:30. And some of the roads were so bad across like Lighthouse Road, just out of Corny, was like probably the worst corrugated road I've driven on with the van. So it was slow going for a while.
But we got there and set up. Like, luckily, we don't have the hybrid anymore, so setup is so much quicker.
Yeah, it's only basically get out level,
And we have a pretty good system. Basically, we pull up, I get out with the kids, I entertain the kids, and Brad sets everything up.
Yeah. So we just labelled up and promptly cooked dinner. And
went down for a night walk on the beach, and it was honestly like stunning. It's probably my favourite beach that I've been to now. Just and it was pretty secluded. Like, there wasn't many people there. We had dolphins. We had a massive school of fish. The kids loved it. Like, you can explore the rocks. You can go swimming. It's a little bit crazy for swimming for the kids. It's a little bit...
Swell gets pretty hectic, and because it is a bit reefy, like, there was a few rips that generated. We were just really careful with the kids. Like, when we left...
Yeah, it's not really a beach where you just, like, let the kids go and...
not like Werribee, Berners,
swim,
Port Vincent, all those
own.
other ones. Yeah, it's probably a little bit more hectic, but like the day we left was the swell had dropped right out, so it was pretty safe. It's obviously just about making sure that you're safe and all of that. So you probably saw at the start the fail. So it wasn't really a fail.
It was more like a learning curve.
It was kind of, yeah, we had some really steep learning curves. So, yeah, obviously the trip down didn't turn out how we wanted. We learnt a few lessons. I probably needed to make a phone call, and we wouldn't have had to drive so far. I was just probably being a little bit more stubborn than what I should be, but you know, anyway, here we are. The day before we left, Charlotte was a bit sick. So she'd been up all night and was crook. We weren't sure.
Frequenting the toilet.
Yeah, frequently visiting the toilet.
Which, like, we thought it's not gastro because none of us are sick. And Charlotte, you know, having Down syndrome, she does tend to get, you know, she has the sluggish bowels and she has a few other health things. And, you know, we thought it's just a Charlotte thing.
Yeah, just a
and
Charlotte.
She was fine the next day, so we thought, yeah, we'll head off.
When Charlotte
Risk
gets
it for the
sick,
biscuit.
yeah, and when she gets sick, she you can tell, you physically can tell, like she looks sick, like really sick, and her eyes go all really red and
glassy.
Yeah, and she had none of those characteristics, like none of her normal.
So we thought, okay, it was the fermented hot watermelon juice she happened to drink at the car the day before.
Yeah, we'd been in Adelaide the day before, and she decided that was a good idea, which we thought that's what it was. But we're talking 12, probably 15 hours since she'd last been to the bathroom, and so we're like, no, we'll go. It's all right. Hopefully it's a 24-hour bargain. We'll be right now.
Or the watermelon juice.
Yeah, or the watermelon juice.
And it's out of her system now, she's right.
So, all good. We get down there and, you know, we'd set up. And over probably the next couple of days, or that night, she went to the bathroom a couple times. Sort of during the day as well. She had a couple accidents and all of that. And I think she was obviously feeling pretty miserable as well. Like it's, you know, when you crook, it's pretty hard on you. And she takes things to heart pretty easily, and she could probably see Hayley and I were a little bit frustrated, just having to always come back to the van, or, you know, Hayley had to wash clothes on like the first night or second morning. So
we'd run out of undies, and I packed extra. I always pack extra undies, but no, we'd run out of those. We're running out of bedding.
Yeah, running out of lots of things. Toilet space, so our cassette was quickly filling up.
And the light didn't come on.
And yeah, our light, we don't know why though, but our toilet light didn't come on, so she was pretty full. But anyway, yeah, so we're sort of like tossing and turning. When are we going to come home? And kids are pretty hectic the night sort of before we left, and probably the worst part was the Saturday. So that's the day we left. Was actually meant to be the best day in the morning before the weather arrived late in the arvo. Like no wind, etc. So, but yeah, we got up. Well, actually, it was probably decided before that. Charlotte took a little turn for the worst, and she was up again all night, like vomiting. She was really, really cruel, like sleeping on the ground. So she didn't have to get, because she's sitting on the top bunk.
Her choice. It does take her a long time to get up there and to get back down. It's quite difficult for her, so I set up a little bed on the ground for her just to make it a bit easier, so she could actually make it to the toilet.
Yeah, and so poor Hales had been up all night, and it was not a very
the wind.
Yeah, she was blowing it.
We just had this freak, and I think everyone had it.
Yeah, on Yorks. Yeah, just a freak.
So we were up in the misty rain. It wasn't really raining that hard. We're pulling down the shade off of our awning, and then put the awning in, packed up all the chairs. What time was this?
Oh, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, so we we couldn't bring the chairs inside because Charlotte was asleep on the ground, so we loaded up the back of the car.
Doing the car, putting them wherever I could.
Just so they didn't get wet. We didn't want to
big chairs, like in case, especially if we were staying another night. So yeah, we basically
had half packed up.
And got up, like, we actually ducked into Corny earlier on the Friday to the pub and had a couple of drinks and just
met some nice people
and just really had probably get out of it was a bit windy and super hot, like 38, 39 degrees and really and north. So yeah, it was pretty hot. Just had some technical difficulties, so kids. We ducked in. I did the right thing and checked up, on the weather app, and obviously the wind, like we were explaining, sort of just come out of nowhere. So we were pretty much packed up. It was basically just the last little bits, and with the night that we'd had,
you'd sort of woken up and you were like, what are we doing today? And I'm like, let's just go home, because I had no sleep. Franklin's up every 2 or 3 hours as it is, and then adding Charlotte on top of that.
Yep.
Spewing all night, so we were like, no, let's just go. The toilet cassette was full.
Yeah.
Let's head home. So we packed up and we were gone by
about 9 o'clock. I suppose Hales will share probably something we were pretty dumbfounded by and shocked.
There was a couple of kids that were, well, not a couple, a car full of kids, like younger adults, and they had packed up as well and drove off, and Millicent and I were looking at their campsite as they drove off, and they'd left cans and bottles, and we were like, oh, Millicent said, oh, that's littering's bad, and I was like, yes, let's go. Here she comes, speak of the devil. Millicent's like, oh yeah, we'll go clean it up. So we went and cleaned up all their cans and stuff, and we're about to head back to our camp to put them in our bin to take them off with us. And I looked at the car that was driving off, and they wound their windows down, and I was absolutely shocked to see them just chuck their rubbish out the window, their rubbish bags. Could not believe what I was witnessing. I was that much in shock that I just froze. I didn't know what to say. Had I have had a little bit more time to process, I would have yelled out to him. Brad and I sort of said, should we chase after him with the rubbish bags and make him pull over and give it back to him? But it was just in the too hard basket, so we grabbed Millicent and I went and picked up the rubbish bags, and we took them home with us as well. But we were pretty shocked with that. It was pretty disgusting behaviour.
Yeah, so, and I suppose there's a fair bit of commentary about the increase in prices for the YP bush camps through the council from $10 to $20. But when you got people littering and disrespecting the country and the beautiful spaces that, someone's got to clean that up, and if it's not other campers, then the council's sending people out to tidy and clean toilets, etc.
Actually, I was going to say something to keep in mind if you're coming over to the Yorke Peninsula. A lot of these bush camps that have previously not had facilities, so toilet blocks, are now getting toilet blocks by the looks. We noticed that at Berners Beach.
No, at Gravel Bay.
Gravel Bay, that's it.
Yeah, so both Gravel and Sinsel, it looks like they put started to put the toilet block together. So could be wrong, but it looked very, very much like many of the other toilets. So definitely something to keep in mind. But that probably also contributes to why they're charging a little bit more. So yeah, we headed home, and there's no time like the present. Hayley never tows. Hayley rarely ever drives, so she wanted to. I do all the driving. So with the caravan, especially the longer trips, gets me out of looking after the kids. So,
But we had spoken about, because we are heading to do a like 6 months on the road, if anything happened while we were, you know, in other states or far away from people, if anything happened to you and I needed to drive, I need to learn how to tow. I think it's just important. Like, I know how to do everything else, I know how to hook it up and all that sort of stuff, but I just haven't actually towed anything big. So I was like, well, now's a good time. You're going to teach me how to tow? And so I towed the van home.
So she drove from Spencer to Waruka. We emptied the toilet there. And
waited
then,
for what felt like forever.
Yeah, so some very inconsiderate people that just decided to park right in front of the dump point. But I drove back from Waruka, so it's just easy for me to reverse the van straight in the driveway. And then basically we've been on pack down. So because Charlotte's a bit crook, we have stripped everything. So we've stripped it, we've Glen 20'd it, we've disinfected every little inch of the van just to make sure if it was gastro, that none of us are getting it. And just general maintenance as well. So looking after all that gear. I feel as though I'm quite meticulous with the cleanup. So it's been really tricky because yesterday it rained a lot. And then we've had intermittent sort of misty showers all day today. So it's been really hard. So I managed to pick a window to wash the outside of the van earlier, and we did drop that we had a little treat for everyone earlier, but I'm halfway through washing the car, but I've probably given up for today just with it's so wet, and every time I get to do anything
Brad's really
rains.
fastidious with his cleaning,
So,
especially because we live, you know, at the ocean. I think it's important to keep everything clean just to help prevent rust and stuff like that.
All the corrosion. So, you know, we do a fair bit of sort of off-grid dirt roads, beach camping. The kids are in and out with water, all that kind of stuff. So I spend a fair bit of time doing that. So I'll probably spend a couple of hours today cleaning. And something I'm really, since I've been doing a lot of the beach stuff, really mindful of is not only just cleaning what you can see, but what you can't see. So in particular, the underneath of the car and the van, it was probably a bit easier. Our hybrid was a little bit higher, so it was a bit easier for me to bend over and do that. But in sort of, I suppose, reaching out and connecting with other people from the travel community, I stumbled across a page on Instagram. So if you are on Instagram, make sure you jump over and give these guys a follow and check out their gear. But Clean Off Road, so they're an Australian business. I stumbled across them, and I sort of just lots of interactions, and they reached out, sort of seeing what we do and that kind of stuff, and they actually sent me an underbody underbody cleaner. So which you should see pop in the video here, but basically just makes washing underneath super easy. I don't have to bend over too much, don't have to sort of get on the ground and get saturated. Pressure wash underneath, so I get rid of all the sand, all the dirt, all the grime, everything. Really, really easy.
It's really good to use, isn't it?
It's super
good
easy to use.
Good quality.
Yeah.
You know, you can just tell good quality when you feel it, and because when I took it out of the packet, I was like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah, so, and I think, you know, presentation is a beautiful, beautiful piece of equipment. So I've just been pumping that today, cleaning off all the garbage that we've collected, and sand and dirt and salt and whatever else.
They're very generous.
And yeah, so they sent that out, and they're very generously giving you guys a bit of a gift. So if you head over to it's in our bio as well, like our link tree. But if you do jump on and want to have a look at some of their products, if you use Channon's 20, you'll get some discount for those for the products. So 20% off.
Which is a good discount.
Massive. Yeah, the guys have been bloody awesome, and they're really, really friendly, really helpful. But like I said, it makes cleaning easy. So I'm not getting on the ground getting wet anymore. So head over, give them a like, follow, share their gear, have a look at their gear. They've got everything from foam cannons to underbody wash, car mitts, etc. Like heaps of stuff. And I know, just speaking to them recently, they're developing some more stuff to be released soon. So definitely worthwhile having a squiz. And yeah, hopefully, use the code. I'll put that in the description as well, just so you don't forget. And hopefully you like their gear as much as what I do. Like Hayley said, I'm super fastidious about cleaning, and I like everything to look really nice. So so thanks to the legends at Clean Off Road for doing that for us. Hopefully you like their gear. But yeah, that's it from us for now. So hopefully you learn a little bit. We certainly have over this weekend. It's been a crazy weekend. Hopefully everyone's had a wicked Christmas, New Year period, and back to school for the families that aren't on the road full time like us. So back to work tomorrow as well. And yeah, we'll see ya. So hopefully you all enjoy your travels, and
we'll keep you up to date with ours.
Yeah. Keep it real. Imagine if that didn't.